change, informative, thought-provoking,
Inspiring.
It's fanatical.
Inspiráló.
Inspirational.
Intriguing.
Inspiring.
People to act on the environment. So we do a lot of face-to-face work, a lot of training, a lot of engagement. So not only are our people and our staff, and there are 35 of us, absolutely essential to the work we do, but also we're working with people every day. So really people are fundamental to what we do. What we do is we find change agents who can make a difference, and then we use behaviour change psychology to encourage them and equip them to make change. So we have quite a young workforce, which is probably relevant. I've read quite a lot about millennials while I've been doing research. The leadership here are all in their 30s and 40s, and a lot of the staff are in their 20s. So, these are the first monkey pictures. So I think, I especially love the middle one. So I think that change comes from when we bring our individual skills together. And that's true whether you're trying to act on something like the environment or whether you're trying to create a fantastic organisation, which for 20 years was run by a very strong-minded entrepreneur. And then we needed to transition to a situation where we were able to take it forward, continue to fundraise, and continue to thrive ourselves. So I think one of the quotes, everyone always loves the Barack Obama quote, so I thought I'd throw one in. But for me, this really resonates because I think at the time that we moved to a partnership, I wasn't in charge of people excellence particularly. I tried to do a lot of things internally, but I had a business development and program management role. And then increasingly I realized that if we wanted to make the culture really strong in the organisation and hold on to all the things that were great about it under the person who'd set it up, but also build on that, then I needed to start thinking about how to make that happen and also engage the other people in the organisation who wanted to do that. So just a little bit about why we are a partnership, because I think it's important. It allowed us to have a greater impact than we would have done under a typical chief executive structure. Now, what that means in practice is there are 5 of us who run the organisation. We're a flat structure. There's one person who reports into the board of trustees. But then under that, we have layers, so there is some hierarchy, but we don't have teams. We have project teams, which are agile, which come together, deliver projects, and then break up. And then we have coaches to support people within that. So it brings its own challenges, but it means there is an awful lot of dialogue and flow in the organisation, and it's allowed us to do some things differently. It also meant we had to find new ways of working, because instead of just one person trying to carry the stick, there were 5 of us. And I think I was talking to someone in the break about how do you change a culture, or how do you sort of unlock things or start to try new things. And I actually think just by changing one thing, quite a significant change, but changing one thing, it allowed us to unpack lots of other things and try lots of other things and experiment a bit. And some of those didn't work out, but I think sometimes one significant change allows you to roll other things into it. So my top tips. I think the first one was to name the niggles. Quite often at the beginning of trying to make some change, we were trying to solve the problems ourselves, or we were worrying about the things that people were, discussing, complaining about. And then we actually had a day that was facilitated initially by a happy trainer, where we just said, okay, what are the top 5 problems in the organisation, and let's get them out on the table, which is scary because you're asking people to complain, and then let's come up with solutions, break into groups and come up with solutions. And we've actually, we now do that every year, because what happens is it means that half those problems turn out to be not problems at all. They were problems for one person in the organisation, and as soon as you discuss it, you realise it's very simple to solve, or it means everyone owns the issue. and starts trying to solve it. So that's been, a real learning. We have a development group where we just do a quick health check, and that allows us to work out if there's things we should be picking up on or things we should do differently. And also another really helpful thing is in project teams or in other meetings, we just go round and ask people to rate 1 to 10, how are they feeling? Either how are they feeling about the project or how are they feeling more generally? And that allows us to get out all kinds of risks out on the table. It gets a sense of which teams might not be feeling so great. They don't have to say why. They can just say, I'm a 4 at the moment. But it's just another way with all these routes to start discussions and to make it a place where people can say, I'm not feeling so great, or I'm worried, or whatever it may be. The second one is giving time and thanks. So as I said, we have a coaching structure rather than a line management structure, which means that the conversations are hopefully much more supportive, proactive. We've had situations where people have come to us and say, I'm thinking of looking for another job, but I wanted to have a conversation with you first, to their coach. It allows them to talk about what they aspire to, that maybe in 5 years they want to do something completely different, but how can they be helped to work towards that and stay within the organisation rather than leaving. And it also means that we can develop them as a whole person rather than just how can you do your job better. Just a few small things. We have a thank you board, a big blackboard in the office where people thank each other, which really quickly says as soon as people join that we're a supportive organisation and we're a friendly organisation where we value each other. We also do things like Easter egg hunts, Christmas vouchers, just small things that constantly say that we're really glad that we work here and that you work here. And then we also keep in touch with people who used to work with us. So we do an alumni event once a year in the pub where people come back, and a lot of people say that the thing they miss most about Global Action Plan is the people and the way that we work together. So we try and hang on to that. The third thing, I couldn't find a monkey for this one, so we've got puppies. So just that small things add up, and I think that, again, as with the thank you board, having kind of constant reminders that this is a place where people want to be and where they can bring their whole self to work. So we don't unfortunately have office dogs. It's not that we own dogs ourselves, but people bring their dogs into the office. So it just means that people who otherwise might struggle to get cover for those or have a dog, they can do that. It makes a huge difference to their lives. We do something called the gap creep, which is when it's people's birthdays, they'll be working away and suddenly the whole office is gathered around them holding cakes. It normally freaks people out quite a lot, but it's very memorable. So I guess it's that shared experience piece. And then things like office amazeification. We're a charity, we don't have a big budget. People were complaining about the state the office was in. So a group of people said, well, can we just get a budget to buy some paint and go and buy some things and use our volunteer day to do the office up? And we said, well, yeah, sure, as long as it looks nice at the end, then go ahead. So we've got a completely refreshed office that mirrors the taste that those people have, and they even brought on-brand paint. So I thought that was quite impressive. And then just fun things like ping pong and rounders that, again, are just suggested, especially by the younger or newer members of staff, to just spend time together that's not in the pub. And then the final thing is that not knowing is okay. So I don't know what that bug is on the right-hand side, but I really like it. It's quite strange. Not knowing is fine, and some of the things that we haven't known about have been how to hang on to people and give them development pathways. We've tried a few different things. We tried to make everything uniform. We've given people kind of a separate technical measure. We're still experimenting with delegation. As easy as it always sounds in the happy booklet, letting go is hard. But we're doing a lot of work around that at the moment. And then I think one of the big unknowns, which has also been one of our big successes, is we signed up for some social investment, which allows us to employ 5 unemployed young people every year, so we train 30, and of those we take 5 on for 1 year, and we've got a 5-year programme. So taking quite a different cohort than we'd normally have, and in a 35-person organisation, 5 people are quite a lot. But trusting that our culture was strong enough that we could do that, and then from that it's opened up so many things, and we've got a talent manager secondee from British Gas because of it, and a whole new way of thinking about culture that we can then transfer, and coaching that we can then transfer to the rest of the organisation. So I suppose it goes back to my first point about the partnership, that making sometimes quite a big step will then unpack lots of things that will make other things possible. So I think the harvest is that thing about possibility, more brains, more ideas. We've got a model that in the charitable sector, at the time we did it, was unique. We went to research other people who were doing it, and no one was. I now know of one other interesting environmental organisation who are doing it. And I think it's created a shared responsibility to fix what is broken. And then the last point is, my job is fun and creative because of it, and as part of all the changes and the freedom that we've had to redefine things, my job's completely shifted to fit in much better with my talents and my skills. And so now, as Henry says, I'm responsible for internal excellence and everything, people, operations, marketing, etc. And then the challenges, explaining our structure to people who might say, partners, what does that mean? Do you get paid more? Do you have shares in the charity? A big one is thinking about recruiting for attitude, is finding people who are comfortable with creating their own reality. So for some people arriving somewhere like Global Action Plan, it takes them a while to understand that if they want something, they can ask for it, and that they can create and are part of the culture in a way that maybe they're not used to. Getting the learning and development right, because I think that by putting the value on our people, their skills and their range of skills, especially their people skills, have become more important. Embedding trust and releasing control, and then what I've called not getting distracted by shiny things. When anything's possible and you can introduce a whole range of things, just really being focused still on, I have KPIs, we have outcomes, we do measure things, we do keep track of things to make sure that we're not thinking, I have to get someone in who can get us all singing, or whatever the next thing is. So, finishing with some questions for you, if you could break into your tables. So I'd be interested to hear, what would be the scariest thing to try in your organisation? Either something I've talked about, or something that you've already heard today. Not everyone can say the singing. And what would be the most exciting thing that you could try? So, how long have we got? 5 minutes? 3 or 4 minutes? Okay, I think we're going to come back together because Henry's got the orange cube. Oh, I need to ring the bell, don't I? What am I doing? The magic bell. So hopefully you all got some interesting reflections, and that's the end of my presentation, so I think it's time for questions.
So you said you had four partners? 5. So how do you make decisions? Is it just sort of those 5 make decisions, and then how do you sort of, the people are not underneath, but the other people, what's their role in the whole sort of organisation?
So there are 5 of us who what we've tried to do is be quite clear on accountability. So we make decisions that affect the whole organisation, but as much as possible we cascade things down. So at the moment, a big piece of work we're doing is empowering the next level down to decouple ourselves from decisions that aren't going to affect the whole organisation, but might be really significant for different portfolios or different project teams, and then going down and down.
How many levels do you have?
4. Yeah.
35 people.
Yes, yeah. And each of those levels have their own kind of team meetings where they can say, well, this is a problem for us, how can we solve it? And then suggest things, and we either, well, normally sign them off or look for something else.
Thank you. You've got 5 partners at the moment. What happens when can someone move up to partnership level from within the organisation, and what's the mechanism that's done by? How does that sort of process occur?
Yes, so that's again something we're looking at how to make that track really clear at the moment, but basically I'm the internally focused partner, the others do business development mainly. So in a sense, anyone who can bring in £500,000 can become a partner, if anyone wants to join. But then looking at how we can make that track, that leadership track clear. So that's why we're trying to empower the layer below as much as possible, and we've been doing some facilitation workshops and things like that to help us have those conversations.